Hey, this is my recap of the Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 9, Episode 10, Skunk in the Barnyard. And my dogs and I, who are spread all over the place, are going to be recapping this episode. So there are two main storylines. I'm going to get the first one, there's kind of three, 2.5. First storyline, I'm going to cover Vickie and Brooks go to Mexico, to her condo, to hang out. There you go. That's that whole storyline. Shannon and David are supposed to be joining them, but mostly we just go down. We see the condo. We see her and hang out with Brooks. We see pixelated nudity. There you go. The half storyline, Eddie and Tamara get a robot baby. She's had 4 babies, so I'm not sure why she needs, excuse my dog, why she needs a robot baby. But I do understand a little better why so many housewives go broke. Because they're buying crap, so they have a storyline. Anyway, the last storyline that's going on, and the majority of this whole episode is this issue of the information about Shannon and her husband getting out, who did it, what's going on, and all the repercussions. Regarding this storyline, I want to start off by saying that I genuinely feel deeply for Shannon. She has so much grief and pain in her life during this part of the season. I know that this is deeply affecting her and her relationship with people. She probably would not be having this hard of a time. I don't think she'd ever like Heather, but they probably wouldn't be having this much conflict, and it wouldn't be affecting her so deeply. She also had conflict with Danielle and Tamara and Lizzie and pretty much almost everyone. But I don't think it would be happening as much if she wasn't going through this amount of pain. I don't think she's right, but I don't think she's a bad person. And the other thing is, I know that half of the people are split on Heather. I've said it before, she just doesn't bother me. She bothers you, that's totally fine, and I understand it. We have those people that say stuff and they annoy us so much. Heather just doesn't annoy me, but she can annoy you. Anyway, we open up the episode with Shannon and Tamara talking at Tamara's house, is how the last episode ended. Shannon gets a message. She looks at it. She goes, "Oh my gosh, it's David. Heather was gossiping about the email." And Tamara immediately says, "I did not say a thing to Heather. I didn't say a thing." And she goes, "Oh, of course I believe you. Absolutely, I believe you." While this is happening, I guess David comes home. We see Shannon the next day just picking on him. "Oh, your father's a creature of habit." And then he picks back, and then we see this cycle. I mean, you got to break this cycle. She's really upset because she says this rumor that Heather is spreading about her is going to be harmful to her kids. I do agree to a degree. She's on a reality show that's being filmed for international distribution. So I kind of feel like the rules on gossip are a tiny bit different. And I do feel like if that's really her legitimate concern, then going on the Real Housewives of Orange County and doing these extensive interviews was a really unwise decision. So I'm kind of like, I do agree that Heather shouldn't have repeated it, especially because she's repeating it. You can't say she's repeating it for the show. You can't say that the producers asked her to do it. You can't say this is part of her contract. It was with people that she knew and didn't know. That's even her words. Anyway, Heather shows up. Shannon shows up at Heather's house, wants to talk about it, wants to know who told her. And Heather probably could have let this go. She probably could have just said, "Okay, I can tell you're really upset, blankety blank blank," and moved on. But instead she wants to address the party again. She explains the difference between pick a side, which is what Tamara said that she said, and pick a lane, and saying that Tamara had to either be her friend or not be your friend. Has nothing to do with Shannon, but either, Heather saying to Tamara, "Please be my friend," consistently, or not be my friend. Don't do this thing where you're with me and you're my friend, and then you leave and you badmouth me. Anyway, they get that more or less worked out. Heather shares what she's willing to share with Shannon, and Shannon's like, "It's not enough." And then Shannon's like, "You're a mom. You owe this to me. I came to you as a mom." And I kind of don't get where she thought that Heather owed her anything. Shannon doesn't like her. Heather's not that fond of her either. They're pretty explicit about it. I don't really think Heather owes Shannon a lot. And I think that this is just the emotions of the situation. You know, you get very self-centered in these situations because it's all about survival, your personal survival. So anyway, that goes awry. Heather ends up asking her, you know, you need to leave. My kids are here. We can't discuss this. You need to leave. Shannon meets up with Danielle and Lizzie with some essential oil that we saw nothing about, and immediately goes into the story about Heather. Lizzie's pretty, you know, Lizzie's the one who really was like, on this episode, is like, Shannon's really worked up because she's in a lot of pain and she's taking it out on people. Danielle makes some joke about drinking, and Shannon's like, you're really judgmental. And then in her interviews, she's like, she needs an essence of shut the blank up. And I was like, well, she's clearly making friends left and right. And then lastly, Shannon meets up with Tamara in a super crowded restaurant, which I assume is to keep Shannon from making a scene. And Tamara admits that she totally lied. She flat out lied. She told Heather. And what it sounds like is that Tamara was kind of vague. Heather, when she repeated it, was kind of vague. But because David and Shannon already know the story, when the pieces got back, they assumed everyone knew. So when Tamara said, hey, Shannon got this email from her husband, is really upset, and then Heather repeated, yeah, I guess she got some email from her husband and she's really upset, David and Shannon assumed that Heather knew the contents of the email. Anyway, I guess after Shannon had left, Heather did text her and say, I'm really sorry about what you're going through, but you're not, your problem isn't with me. So I feel like this is really unsettled. Clearly next week we get more to the story. And I really hope that in real life right now, Shannon has found some peace with her situation. So there you go. Hit me up in the comments and tell me why you think I'm wrong. Be nice.